Hello, gold makers. How are you? So, as a quick intro and sort of disclaimer, this video is not really about specific gold farms, although I will show you some and some really good ones. But this video is rather an explanation of several possible methods of gold farm. This way, while you are playing around, you might be able to identify stuff as a gold farm and exploit on it, or when you do search for gold farms, we'll understand what is it about, what kind of stuff you are actually watching or reading, and you will know how to execute it better and profit more. Because trust me, if you are a more informed person, so to say, you can spend like in several play sessions, you can spend like a total of 10 hours and gain more gold than a less informed player will gain in like 40 or 50 hours of gameplay doing the same thing or the same type of farm. So this is why I think this video is really important. I'm gonna specify different types of farm, explain you how they work, maybe even for some of them give you cool references of specific gold farms on that category. Okay, now that you know what this is about, let's move on. And also another thing I want to tell you, even if you have a favorite or main gold farm, you should still check out the others and try some of them, and just try anything once, really, because you want to, even if you have something that you usually do, you should sometimes still do the other gold farms to have a different cash flow, and for many reasons, and also keep it up fresh and fun. For example, if you go to the grocery store, the supermarket, right? You buy like a can or a jar of peanut butter, and it costs €1 or $1. But then there's this other version where you get 5 of them for just $4, or you get a big jar that's worth 5 or 6 of them, and it just costs 4. Now, you would profit more, so to say, buying the big one. But the thing is, the the store itself, they will be selling the small ones because people don't need too much or don't have the money or whatever. They will be selling the small ones. They sell that, and they are gaining a steady, guaranteed income. Like they say they sell 2 or 3 a day, they gain 2 or 3 euros a day, right? But then there's this day at the weekend where they sell the same 2 or 3, and they also sell 1 or 2 of the big ones, and boom, they made just like 15 profit that day. That's the thing I want to tell you. So even if you have, if you prefer like a steady gold farm, like let's say 5-10k an hour gold farm, fixed guaranteed stuff, sometimes you should still do the transmogs and whatever. Then you keep them in the bag, and someday they will sell for 100 or 200k, and it will just feel so good. Okay, now with all of that aside, let's get into the juicy and good stuff. One thing you should do is try to have several characters, even if they don't are max level, or even if they are max level but just kinda naked, no gear, nothing. Just give them some love, put some spells in the bars randomly, give them a cool transmog and whatever. Because you'll do, some farms will require, or not require, but be better if you have more characters, more alts. Another extra tip is to have 1 or 2 characters fixed in the city, maybe just level 1, level 10, to send random junk there, and cosmetics and transmogs, whatever. They will keep that stuff and maybe many other stuff to sell in the long run. Maybe have a guild of your own with only that character in the guild to have even more storage capacity, and sell the stuff, because some stuff you don't really want to be posting it every day. You just post it every now and then, and it will sell eventually. But if it doesn't sell, or if it stays a long time, you don't clutter up your backspace. You want your main characters and your farm characters with empty bags full of space to make even more profit and even more gold. Another tip about alts is, well, you can make several different classes, maybe have one of each to have all of them, but if you don't want that or already have that and you want even more characters, the repeats should be either just repeats of your main or something that you are really comfortable with, or just several druids, many druids, many druids, keep them coming. Other honorable mentions could be Death Knight because of Deathgate. It's about the mechanic I'll tell you later on, but it's the same as Druid Dream Portal. And aside from that mechanic, you could also have like paladins and mages. Main reasons are speed or being able to solo content, fast kill, instant spells, whatever. There are many reasons. But yeah, in general, repeat main or repeat several druids, honorable mentions, Death Knight, Paladin, Mage, maybe something else that runs fast or whatever. Raw gold. What does it mean and how does it work? Raw gold is a mix of pure gold you loot from the ground, from the ads, and everything you sell on the vendor immediately. You click sell junk button and maybe even actually click some more stuff and just sell it all. All of that together is raw gold. Usually on raw gold farms, you want to just kill as many enemies as possible, and it's about kill per hour count, because the more things you kill, the more all of that you gain, and the more in general raw gold you earn. It's about making gold per hour, fixed and steady income. Sometimes it could not be the best farm, sometimes it is. Sometimes when a new expansion or season comes out, there are pretty abusive farms that get patched. So this is usually an okay farm, not the best, not the worst, but it's guaranteed money. It's not like you're spending time for nothing. But sometimes people find out stuff and it's super the best. Anyways, a raw gold has several implications. You can do it solo, which we'll cover a bit later, or you can do it on a team. On a team, you usually do what's called a 1x5 or 2x4. You can go in game, as you see in the clip, find a group and whatever. And 1x5 just means one party of 5 people. That's it, simple. 2x4 means two parties of 4 people, meaning a big group of 8 people together. Okay, you cannot just do a raid group, because sometimes that prevents you for certain loot or XP or reputations or whatever other things. You want to keep it as a normal party. That's why it's a 2x4 for a total of 8 people. The way this works is, game has some mechanics when it comes to loot, but there are two main things that overlap each other. So in one way, you can have a maximum of 5 people looting the same enemy, but also at the same time, that's another rule that kicks in, stating that if you can loot an enemy, all your group can loot it. And the two rules will overlap each other in such a way and create such a condition that as long as one person from each group touches the enemy and collects the loot, everyone on both groups will be able to loot it. So essentially what I'm saying is, you have two groups of 4 people each, total 8 people, and everyone will loot everything, 100% of the loot of all and every single enemy. All of it. Maybe in some cases like 90% random stuff happens, but this does work. This is an intended mechanic. It's not any abuse, any cheating. This will not get you banned. Everyone does it. You can see posts filled in the game. The only risk you would have is if someday they change the rules and it stops working, and then you have to do a less optimal thing of just 1x5 or any other strategy that comes out, and that it's the best at the moment to replace. But for now, this is the best strategy and it's completely legal. It's 2x4. So in the clip I'm gonna just show you, you will see that usually you have some sort of one tank, no healer, everyone else DPS, and two people are pullers. I'll explain that in a second. But in general, one tank, two pullers, and 5 DPSs. Now, we want one puller on each side, making kinda half a circle, one to the left, one to the right, or whatever. Usually 2 hunters, marksmen, no pet. And the other 6 people, 1 tank and 5 DPSs, 3 people from each group, are stacked together in a ball in the middle. The hunters will run, pull stuff, pass through the party, leave stuff there. You kill it, you spam buttons, it's fast, it's cool, it's fun. And you make sure not to send spells outside, because you want to kill everything stacked in the same place. You want to keep it there, because you are just killing and looting, and the hunters, every 2 or 3 cycles, they stop in the middle to also loot. Pro tip, if you like playing hunter or want to have guaranteed spot in these farms, just make an hunter and get infinite gold. This is probably one of the best farms out there. There's always new places and new items coming out, especially in the beginning of each new season or DLC, whatever, and you can make infinite tons of gold with it. With hunter, you also have a guaranteed slot in the party, fast feeding groups if you make your own. It's really good. Now, you usually pull with hunters because they have several mechanics of spreading out stuff, more range than normal, speed and whatnot. Could also try to do it with mage, druid, maybe priest, whatever, but essentially hunter is just the most optimal and efficient. Now, in these farms, you are not just gaining raw gold, you are gaining raw gold plus whatever material or currency. In this specific case, it's rousing fire and rousing earth material. You just stack thousands of it in the inventory, and then you gain the raw gold plus selling the material on the auction house, and that's it. Now, in this specific case, you are also gaining BOEs, which you could sell on the auction house or gear your alts. And I will tell you that usually in this gold farm, in the past you would gain a lot more, like 5 times more the gold. Maybe you would reach 70k an hour or whatever, but nowadays, since prices changed and whatever, thanks progress, you will gain at least 5k an hour of raw gold, sometimes 10 if this is really well done. And also you will sell those materials and the BOEs and all that. So you will gain at least 5 to 10k guaranteed. If you are lucky, maybe you go all the way up to 20 or 30 per hour. But just consider about 10k guaranteed average per hour if you do this farm consistently, several sessions, several hours. Also, the way this works is you are triggering a mechanic called Hyperspawn. Depending on the place where you are in the game, this works differently, and the number of enemies can change and vary. And sometimes if you kill everything fast enough, you will trigger this mechanic called Hyperspawn, and stuff will spawn so fast that it looks like you're playing a tower defense. Looks like you're fighting infinite waves of enemies non-stop, okay? And if you slow down, if you don't have your game on, sometimes you will lose the hyper spawn. Even the normal spawn will get slower than normal. Then you have to just keep going, cycle 2 or 3 waves until it gets back up to speed, and then you eventually trigger the Hyperspawn again. Another pro tip is to just mute the game, okay? Don't change the volume to not mess up your settings and having to come back or whatever. Just go into the Windows options, mute it. You will unmute at the end when you finish this farm. You can be speaking to friends on Discord, speaking to people in your house, watching Netflix, a movie, a series, watching or listening to a documentary, and you are just mashing buttons. And there's no like crazy rotation. Can even have a specific loadout and bar with just some spells, mash it randomly, make it somewhat efficient, and boom, you are just AFK pressing the same a couple buttons and be there. Once every like 10 minutes you spend 1 minute selling junk, organizing a little bit, maybe sending stuff to alts and whatnot, and keep it going and do a lust, raid buff, all that. Now another thing would be a solo or duo Hyperspawn, because sometimes you will let's say in Northrend there's like a beach where there's only 2 types of enemies. You can, for example, go there with the druids and you have 2 instant spells that will kill anything there. Inside game, without any add-ons, you can make a macro in which where you target X enemy, your character casts a spell. And you make another macro, when you cast Y enemy, your character casts B spell. So you are just spamming tab, you are clicking everything, and you are targeting them, one guy or the other different guy, and your character is making spell 1, spell 2, and killing everything on sight. You do 2 or 3 loops around, then you skin and loot everything. Do 2 or 3 loops skilling, then you skin and loot everything. You can basically Hyperspawn that solo, or you can go duo with a buddy to have fun, or each one doing their farm, and or many people each one doing their farm and speaking in a call on Discord, having fun, making gold, and talking about your experiences, better places and whatnot. Now another thing I should tell you, the previous farm about the 2x4, or even if it's a solo or whatever it is, there's always the normal version or the skinning version, like 2x4 skinning, or you can solo skinning, whatever. So essentially, sometimes you will gain everything I've said before plus the skinning materials, or sometimes you are just gaining the skinning materials, even in a 2x4 farm. Regardless, those are really good. There's also situations where you combine these farms with not only skinning, but could be mining or herbalism, or from those 3 gathers, any combination of 2 of them, plus the farm. But usually if it's a team thing, it's just nothing or only skinning. If it's a solo or duo, that's when you could combine any of the 3 or any combination of 2 of them, plus whatever farm. That's when it would work like that. Dungeon raid instant spam. You can go, for example, to Lore Blackrock Spires dungeon. It's one of the best ones, and you basically run the thing, kill everything, loot everything, come back out, reset the instance on the menu, go back in. The way this works is until certain expansion or whatever, if you do the dungeons on normal, you are able to reset and go in again. Don't have a weekly thing. On raids though, it's a little bit different. Many raids have this thing where you can't kill any boss. As long as you don't kill any boss, just the trash, you can come inside, reset, go back in, trash is there. If you kill a boss, you messed up the farm, you need to wait for the next week. But on dungeons, the ones that work, many of them, you can also kill the bosses, kill everything, and go out, go in. Sometimes you can kill the boss, but many often you can. You will have to check for each specific farm. Now, I should also tell you that sometimes you just run, stop at the end, kill everything, leave, go in again. Sometimes you stop 2 times. Stop kind of in the middle and then stop again at the end. This has to deal with bugs or with manipulation or many other obscure reasons, but to avoid getting less loot, you sometimes kill in 2 packs, one in the middle, one at the end. Sometimes, depending on how the map works, you don't even go till the end, you go up to a specific part and then come back, especially if you have like a shortcut to come back out and then come back in again. Now this is where druid and death knight come in, because you have the portal to the Dreamfang or the death gate. It's essentially a 1 minute cooldown, ports you to your specific quest zone, and then you click on it, you go back to the previous spot you were before teleporting. But the really cool thing is that if you were inside an instance like a dungeon or raid, it works a bit differently. You will not go to the exact spot you were, but rather you will spawn outside at the door or really close. So now if you are a druid or a death knight, you do not have to walk all the way back. You can just port and you are outside, reset the instance, going again. So easy, so much faster, time saver, more fun, less annoyance. So do that and you're golden. Especially on druid, you can have a speed set farm, put get form, beyond pharaoh. You also have 2 or 3 cooldowns to run super fast. You can juggle them between each other. Have even flask and a potion of speed. You can essentially run almost the same speed in cat form as someone on a normal flying mount, and way faster than someone on a normal ground mount, and you are just in cat form running. So if some other quests would take 10 or 15 minutes to make the run and come out and enter again, you sometimes as a druid can just in 2 minutes do the whole thing, farm, come out, come in again. It's crazy fast, crazy efficient, so please do that. And also in these dungeons, you can also have the normal raw gold farm, or a transmog farm, or a mix, or materials and raw gold. In this case, I was giving the example where Blackrock Spires. You have some raw gold and 3 or 4 materials that you stack to sell on the auction house. And here is a special case with a cherry on top of sometimes transmogs or recipes, whatever. And you can also sell those or use them. Also, I should mention, the reason this is called a lockout, it's because you are allowed a maximum of 10 instances per hour. Usually you wouldn't notice that, because if you do like a raid or a mythic plus, whatever, you will spend at least 15 minutes inside, 20, so you'll not experience this. But let's say you run these old dungeons where you just run and one-shot everything, and let's say you do 10 runs in less than 30 minutes. What's gonna happen is you will try to enter again, and your character will be stuck at the door without entering, with an error message in the left of the screen in chat. So the way it works is, it's not actually a pack of 10, it's by each single instance itself lockout. What does that even mean? So the timer starts when you just enter the dungeon, not when you finish it. That's a common mistake people have. So when you enter inside, it's already ticking and counting. So in other words, let's say you finish the 10th run at exactly 1 hour mark. You can immediately go in again for 1 more run, because the game is tracking as if you only did 9. Why? Because when you started the first run, the timer was already counting, right? So by the time you spend the full hour doing the run number 10, when you finish it, you already have refreshed time for the first one, or almost. kind of thing. So if you spend at least a certain amount of minutes, sometimes you can even run like 15 or 20 something dungeons until you experience the lockouts for the first time. This depends on your run timers, but usually, and if you are very efficient, you are experiencing this a lot and having to stop the farm or go do something else or whatever. There are some runs though which take a bit more time, or you do the skinning things and other shenanigans, and you take exactly the needed time to do it non-stop for 2 or 3 hours without experiencing a lockout. So when you check for each specific farm, you have to check it out, understand how it's happening. Maybe the person that's giving you that farm will already have that covered and calculated beforehand, that kind of stuff. Transmog farm. Sometimes you do the same solo run or 2x4, but you don't gain any gold, not even any raw gold, you gain nothing, and you are doing it for a transmog. It can be worth like 500,000 gold, like golden main farm. It's a cool horse, but you can spend 100 hours there and not gain anything. Rather, there's another thing I like a bit more than that, which is when stuff mixed together and you still gain some raw gold while trying to farm a transmog, or even better for me, it's what I called high ticket farm or alt parking. You have some places like in Ardenweld in Shadowlands where you can park your alts in kind of this place, and you search for this enemy. It spawns 1 time per hour, but you can only kill it 1 time a day. This kind of farms could be for a daily or weekly, whatever. But you essentially park a couple alts here, or 10 alts if you want. You kill the enemy a bunch of times with 1 each alt, or if you don't have the patience or don't find him alive, just log 1 or 2 alts every now and then, like tomorrow, next week, next month. But essentially you are not spending several hours. In a full month, maybe you have spent a total of 30 minutes logging in and out and doing 1 minute kills. And it can drop nothing, or it can drop something that worth nothing, or that worth like 100k or 50k, whatever. You sell those items, save them on the bank character, do all of that. So you essentially don't lose any time, just have a couple fun, and you are doing your steady gold farms, and sometimes you even sell this high ticket thing. Now there's also a treasure on the same map that you can collect 1 time only per character and never again. You can also do that kind of farm, take all your alts there, pick it with everyone. In this case it's the same transmogs I was showing you on the other mini boss guy. You can sell those. Even in Taldraza's map there's a chest around this location kinda, where you get an item that you sell on the vendor for 2k gold. So if you have 20 alts, you go with all of them and you just net yourself 40k gold instantly. Now for this chest you need to be level 60, at least 60 or higher, to be able to open it and acquire. But yeah, that's also a really good one. Raid farming. LFR raids. Many times there are recipes, you can just go with a bunch of alts to LFR, have like 4 characters with double crafting profession on each, even if you don't like and don't use professions, okay? You will drop stuff. In my case, I actually have professions, but sometimes I learn the thing, sometimes I decide to sell it, sometimes I've already learned, drop it again and sell it, whatever. But some people don't even have professions, they just have it for this kind of purpose. Because imagine, I've had situations where I rolled an 8 or a 5 on the dice, but since no one had the exact profession, they couldn't need the recipe, they could just pass or grid, whatever. And guess what? I got it. And 30k value recipes. Maybe sometimes you get lucky and there's something that's worth like 150k and sells fast. Who knows? So do that. Do weekly raids if you like it. It's not guaranteed, but it's a possible farm and a fun one if you are still getting alts and whatever. Just put professions on all of them, or check the raid loot, and if there's a specific profession that's more worth it, instead of having all of them spread, just have that exact profession on all those 4 characters or more, and run it with all of them weekly. Also, heroic raid, if all the jewels, rings, trinkets, the cloak, the necklace, all that sort of stuff, and other currencies for tier sets and whatnot, just need everything, even if you don't need it. Many people will ask you to buy from you. Now, I know this maybe sounds kind of bad, and maybe you don't like to sell stuff. Although, even if you don't sell anything and just give it, you should still try to buy stuff. Like my stuff from Nimue, I bought it for 150k. Because like I've done the raid several weeks and never saw it dropping. The first time I saw it drop, I immediately DM'd the guy and said, "Hey, I'm buying that 100k right now, fast." And then I said, "Hey man, sorry, I also need whatever, but if you can make 150, I'll sell it." I was like, "Sure." And you know what? Great thing I decided to do that and buy it, because I only saw the stuff 1 or 2 times later, after many weeks or whatever, and I could maybe never even get it. And then it would be harder to join groups and get the other stuff I needed, yada yada. This trinket, BigWigs from Tinroll, right? I was really lucky to get it 2 times, and the first time I sold it for 120k, I was in needing of gold for whatever, and then I actually ended up getting it. So don't be a bad person. Don't try to bargain and call values, whatever. Just whatever they DM you, like they will DM you for sure. Hey man, I want to give you 50k, 60, 100, whatever they sell, they want it. Just sell it for that value. There's no need to be a to be a dick, honestly. Just sell it for whatever value they ask you. Now another thing, some items like the BigWigs trinkets, some rarer, really good items that everyone wants and the whole raid will probably DM you. Usually people make a solid price of 100k. If you, for some reason, if you offer less or ask more, it's kind of an insult on both ends, selling or buying. I don't know why, but generic items it's whatever. The really good ones, it's always 100 fixed price kinda. So whatever. But there's also these really extra special red items, like Far Extended Rage Heart and Augury of the Primal Flame or whatever. These 2 trinkets are so special that they drop in the above tier. Like you do raid on normal, get champion gear, but those 2 trinkets already drop in hero. You do it hero, get heroic, get hero, but they drop in mythic. You do mythic, guess what? They drop higher than the maximum possible level. They go all the way up to 496, which is the same level at the legendary. Those 2 trinkets are so special and also so super rare that this is a different story. Now, if you don't like this conversation and you don't like to sell anything to anyone, you just give it, it's fine. But these 2 specific trinkets, the special super rare trinkets of the raid and the season, I mean, these 2 you must still sell them if you get them. And these ones can be, you can get offered like a million or more. I've sold a Rage Art for 600k. I had zero version, so when I dropped Mythic the first time, a guy just offered me 600 right off the bat, and I just sold it. Because these people know what they are doing. He knows way more about the game than me. He's a way better player than me. And he probably inspect me. he knows that I need this trinket for my quest and whatever. So he tried not to insult me with a lower value, and to make sure I would be friendly to him and not even try to bargain higher values. Because some people would try to ask him even or whatever. But since his first offer was already 600, I was like, okay, man, it's yours. No more talk, it's yours. Please make good use of it. And we end up having a long talk, having fun, having a great time. While the other guys in chat were just saying stupid stuff or wanting me to give it or whatever. Like, you could give everything, but this really special thing that you may never even see drop in several months the entire season, this one you must sell. And if you see the opportunity, try to buy it for sure. Many people would even consider me dumb for selling, so yeah. Now, professions. There are several ways of making money. You could essentially make crafting orders for a high gear, but that's a long grind, long gold investment, everything. Many people usually end up having faster, reliable gold farms and making professions in the long run. Although it's a long grind, it does pay off at the very end in the long run. Now, some examples of gold making. You can have maybe all the professions or some of them into in enchanting the aspect dreaming crests, like when you enchant these things. So every weekly reset, people have a new spark, they can craft a new item, yada yada, they need one of these things, they will put in the orders, you craft it. Now you will trigger resourcefulness and net some of the items for yourself sometimes. Maybe you get lucky and gain a Draco Fist back, which was worthing 10k at some point in the season. Now it's like 2 or 3k, whatever. But these things you can sell them at the auction house or use them for yourself in your crafts and whatnot, in your own crafting orders. You get the point. You can put the crafting orders for yourself for the several professions and save even more not paying and getting the resourcefulness out of everything, because some stuff is a long grind, some stuff it's almost given to you instantly when you get the profession, and sometimes it's the main thing in the season, so you can not already save a bunch but also make money on that. Another cool thing is inscription, right? You have these draconic treatises. So there are about 10 different ways to gain knowledge, but one of them is these treatises that are made by a profession. The scribe, a person who has inscription, makes these things for every single profession and also for himself. You gain a lot of crafting orders, public orders, your whole guild asking you for this. People who have professions usually like this. They can eat up 2 per week to gain instant knowledge points. Fast and easy. Now, although many people do the long grind for gear, there's another thing. You can have like some sort of resource good selling build. The good selling builds are usually easier to do and cheaper and faster, and you can like sell consumables on all professions, but also at the same time, if you check it, like you want to make a weapon or a piece of gear like armor, head, shoulders, whatever. If you notice, when you make the crafting order, you have to buy a list of materials. You go to the auction house, buy all those materials, then you put the crafting order in. But guess what? Sometimes those materials are raw reagents, stuff that people gather around, whatever, or drop. But sometimes these are things made from professions, okay? And as a quick example, sometimes professions make some of these parts, but sometimes they even make part of the part or part of the part of the part. Because imagine you can craft a thing A and B, then you can craft a C thing that uses A and B plus other reagents. You can craft another D part that also uses A and B plus another stuff. And you can have a third tier, E or F piece, that uses all of the others before plus reagents. And then you have the actual item you want to get, like a cool weapon or armor, that uses all of that, and sometimes things from different professions. So there are people who specialize on part making builds, and they put all that junk in the auction house. They don't even have to bother speaking to everyone doing crafting orders. They just craft everything, auction house, boom, sell it, profit. Now, here's the thing. They will trigger a stat called multicraft. Sometimes they are crafting 2 things but get 5 out of them. Sometimes they also proc the resourcefulness to save some of the materials. And at the long run, sometimes the materials will be enough to craft another. And that another could again proc multicraft and or also resourcefulness, and you are crafting, gaining multiples, gaining materials back, gaining everything, selling everything. And then if you can also craft the actual gear, sometimes people bought stuff in the auction house that was put there by you, and then when they make the crafting order and you also get it, you will also proc the resourcefulness again and save even more materials and gain their commission for the crafting order. So you now see you have so many ways of profiting in professions. Also, the professions are not just a one and done thing. Each profession has 10 different professions inside, from classic to dragonflight. Maybe we even get a new one on War Within. And as an example, in engineering and some others, I have several different expansions maxed out. And you can make toys, mounts, pets, whatever stuff. You can make so many things. And people have addictions. People have desires, fears. They want to have fun. So sometimes you can just move aside from the gear and have a more chill and fun grind in the profession. But sometimes more expensive though. That will profit you in the long run. You can even sell cosmetics, skins for weapons and armor, full sets. You can learn how to craft all this good stuff and sell it. Now, another thing, boosting. I'll not go too much in depth on it or promote it or whatever, but just know that depending on a bunch of rules, and I do mean a bunch of stuff, it could be legal or not, but in general, if you are within certain a lot of terms, it is legal only for gold, nothing else, although not supported. But that's a whole nother topic that's not getting covered today. There are also many other farms, possibly, they keep coming, but if you follow any of these threads, and you can apply them in several different ways, you will find yourself gaining a lot of gold. These are just some of the main farms, especially the 2x4 farm, and again you have the normal versions or the skinning versions. 2x4 farm is probably one of my favorites and the best, especially when you're starting out, because you don't need to invest anything. You just go there and trade your time for money. Then when you have more gold, you start investing and having different things to do and whatnot, and yeah, and have different flows of gold incoming. Now let me know in the comments if you would like a video on a certain specific farm and just having many examples and places to apply that farm. Now that you know how these farms work and have some special tips on all of them, let me know if you want an actual, like, just this one category and many farms of that, or like a video just stating all these farms, like 2x4, you can go here, there and there, dungeon, solo dungeon instance grind, you can use this one, that one, that one, transmog run. You can use this, that, and that. Profession can use this one, that, and that. Like, tell me if you would like a list for a lot of them, or just a video for one specific category with in-depth farms, like a list of those farms and actual in-depth about all of them on that, only on that subject. Let me know that in the comments, and I'll try to make a video for you on that subject. Now, with all that being said, and as always, take care of yourself, because you are worth it.